Hi, Mark. So you're speaking to us from South Africa today.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
You see, it's hot here.
Yeah,
Summer. And,
a little bit shiny. I like the shine. I like
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so we are going to kick off our topic for the next few weeks, which is something that I think is a very important topic and is something that is being talked about a lot at the moment, and that's burnout and stress. A lot of people are calling it an epidemic, with a lot of people burning out. And even those that aren't actually burning out, most people are reporting feeling very stressed. Anxiety is at an all-time high. The World Health Organization characterizes burnout as a state of vital exhaustion. So why do you think we are all so exhausted? And does this epidemic of burnout have a message for us? Like, what's it trying to tell us?
Well, the question why, I think for every person who is giving it a little bit of attention and simple of mind, I mean, look at our lifestyle. It has significantly changed. I mean, we allow today to be occupied way more than any other generation in the history of humankind. The cell phone, the internet, and social media and everything going on digitally causes our attention to be permanently drawn towards all the demands that come from these spaces. And there is no escape because online banking, online taxing, all the systems that we need to comply with are going digital. Even cars are supposed in the future to drive us, etc. It all sounds wonderful. It sounds great. However, I don't believe that the situation will change, that we are, as human beings, demanded 24/7 to be on standby, and then to deal with all the changes. The rules change, then the digital stuff change, and the upgrades and the breakdowns. It's really over demanding from the morning to the evening, from WhatsApp to Slack to Facebook to business email. Yeah. And then also the entertainment industry has given us a conditioning that requires for us to be stimulated high impact, fast impulses. So stimuli that are designed to make us immediately go into an excitement. And it goes faster and higher and faster and higher. If you watch a movie today, it almost doesn't have a story anymore. No length for relaxation and contemplation like the old movies from the 80s, 90s. It goes in and immediately the action starts, and that goes the whole way through. So our brains and minds are totally over-demanded. Then you see the rise of people seeking in psychedelic plants and a way out. It's really a very critical time because the inner warnings from burnout, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression, midlife crisis, depression, insomnia, desperation, all of that. I mean, midlife crisis today starts as early as 30s, even before that. And cynical voices call us the Prozac nation, which means Prozac is an antidepressant, one of the most popular ones amongst thousands of others. Somebody is making a huge buck on all of that. And it's a difficult situation. But the message is also implicit in that. It requires from us to really ask profound, deep question, what is it actually I'm here for? What is it that makes life as a human being? And this is something that the pressure is on us to answer existential questions that have been posted since thousands and thousands of years to people. So as much as it is a psychological crisis, individually and collectively, because we are not separated, as much it is a spiritual opportunity. So it just depends from which side you are looking at what's happening.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything that you're saying. So you do think that life is getting harder rather than humans are becoming less resilient? There's obviously a phrase going around for Gen Zs of the snowflake generation. You know, you can't say anything, everyone's precious. And, you know, there's a lot of mocking of this kind of mentality. Do you think we are becoming less resilient as human beings, or is it our environment that's making us weaker, as some people would say?
To a certain degree, yes. I mean, look at the facts of wrong nutrition, lack of exercise, etc. And in the challenge of the over-demand, but even if you have a right nutrition, exercise, and many other of the healthy lifestyle habits, even then, I believe the challenge is still completely on, because our bodies are not made for this kind of lifestyle. It's as simple as that. And we can counteract it. Yes, we can do all kinds of things. But I believe a person living the modern lifestyle, and it's only getting worse, that's why I'm a little bit worried, it will force us to really take a look and say, what is a life meant for human being? Not a, whatever you want to call it, a digital being, a human being. Our bodies are innocent. They don't know what's going on. Our minds go cuckoo, and our brain can't catch up with all of that. That's why it shuts down and gets us into all these psychological difficult conditions. Absolutely, this is not something that we say, okay, I don't like something like the modern lifestyle. No, it is a real reality that we are all challenged by. So resilience, to a certain degree, is by that, but the most part, the challenge is really in, can our bodies upgrade itself so fast that they can handle the challenge, or do we even want that? These are the questions.
Yeah, I think that's a big question. And I think that's the thing in terms of, you know, obviously progression with technology, it's just, it's insane. And like you say, our bodies aren't keeping up with this. So the world around us is changing at such an incredible rate, but we still remain human beings. And yeah, so therefore the ability to cope with everything around us, there's going to be some strain. And so with regards to specifically burnout, the symptoms of burnout are noted as cynicism, ineffectiveness, and obviously we've touched on exhaustion. What are the kind of long-term damage? What's the long-term damage of the effects of burnout and stress on an individual and society?
As we all know today, our mind and our body are totally connected. No, and even the doctors are starting to know that. So today, more and more doctors are not any longer just looking at how to treat the symptom, but they know they need to treat the person as a whole. They cannot just heal the symptoms, they need to heal the person. And they are not sufficiently trained to do that. They are upgrading themselves according to how much they are inspired to really be fit and become fit for that challenge. So where are we going if we are not really making a big change is I think we are committing a slow redigging our graves. I have to be blunt and honest here. But I do see the spiritual opportunity here. I do see that maybe this force was needed. That's one of the South African birds that make a lot of noise.
I like it.
Okay, coming back. Well, maybe the viewers of that enjoy that little interruption.
So continue.
What was I saying?
So you were talking about that we're treating people as a person, and that doctors and everyone need to see people
Yes,
as a whole
no,
being.
and maybe that pressure was needed when you take a look at the evolution of mankind, for us to really now get pressured to answer the question, what is life about? You see, we lived by the models of survival, lost century, everybody knows it. Then we lived by the model of capitalism in many parts of the world. Communism was tried. And what is it today? What is it today? What's the purpose of life today for people who are in this world? And we're talking predominantly about the Western lifestyle at the moment, but the East is catching up as well. You know, the East wants to be like the West, and it gets even worse over there. The question is, what is it about? Is it still just about creating a family and building a house and then retire happily? Is that the purpose of life as it's meant to be from a human evolution point of view? Most spiritual teachers, philosophies, religions are not agreeing that this is the purpose of life. They say, and I say the same thing, the purpose of life is to grow into a more spiritual person, a more conscious person, to become more conscious, to become more connected, to become more light. We came from light, we go into light, and we are here to expand our being through mastering the challenges that come with being a human being. That is, according to me, what I see as a purpose of life. And if we want to hold on to any other purpose, it seems that the big universe, evolution, God, call it whatever you want, is not allowing that anymore. It just doesn't allow us individually and as a collective to hold on to outdated models of purpose of living. And that could be, at the end of the day, the message and a great chance.
Mm-hmm. So you think we have a chance then?
I think we do.
Okay.
But certainly not on fixing some consequences of our lifestyle on the periphery, and just trying to treat depression symptoms with antidepressants, or getting through the burnout and then trying to continue like living before. That's not it. That won't do the job. We need to go deeper.
Yeah. And as you say, in a lot of the trainings, it's and like as you said earlier, it's a signal that something needs to change. So things like burnout and stress and the way the world is going is a signal. And then if we don't listen to it, it's just going to come back louder. It doesn't disappear. So, and also then to continue with some of the teachings from our trainings. So we talk about, we have quite a lot of people that are experiencing burnout or recovering from burnout coming on the trainings. And we cover the concept of integrity and lacking integrity, and also inauthenticity. How do you think that these concepts contribute towards stress and burnout?
our minds are designed to be effective servants to support us in achieving what we set out to achieve. Now, just take a look at the poor mind. If you give the mind a command, it works out a plan in order to make that command or to fulfill on the command, which is great. And it would be exactly just like that. You say something, you make a plan, you make a decision, the mind goes to work, you act on it, and here unfolds your life. But that's not the case. We give our mind a command, and then we give a contradictory command from the emotional body. Then the mind needs to clean up the mess and come up with a new plan. For example, you give the mind a command, tomorrow at 9 o'clock you are in a particular place to meet a person. The mind works out a plan. You need to get up at 7:30, da-da-da-da-da. And then at 7:30, the alarm clock rings and you hit the snooze button and you turn around and you are staying in bed another 50 minutes. Now you betrayed your mind. The mind must come up now with a whole new plan covering the 50 minutes to still get you there at 9 o'clock. Then you receive a WhatsApp message, then your mind gets busy with that. Then you maybe eat too fast your breakfast. Then your mind needs to inform your brain, and the brain needs to work out a plan in order to get your digestion the right way. The mind is completely overstressed. And then you tackle relationship problems parallel at the same time. Maybe while driving in traffic, you have a conversation with your partner or with a friend, and maybe it's a sensitive subject. So that multitasking, the 12, 15, 20, 100 tasks, the mind is super powerful, but it has its limits. It cannot tackle today's demands, especially when we are not in integrity, when we are not authentic. Authentic means I would like to say yes, that would be true, but I don't say. I say no. I like to say no, but I say yes in order to not receive rejection, in order to be liked, in order to be pleased, that the boss likes me, etc., etc. All that the mind needs to manage because it knows you're not true. It needs to come up with a plan to make you feel good because the mind is designed by evolution to be our servant, to have a greater opportunity as a being than in the animal world. But we do not understand the mind, and we do not relate to the mind in a compassionate way. So if I'm not in integrity, if I'm consistently having a conflict between what I said and what I do, so I'm not doing what I said I will do by when I said I will do it. Let's keep it very simple for the purpose of this interview. Then there's a discrepancy. And my mind now needs to get busy with managing the crisis that comes with me having not aligned my actions with my word. So if I'm not serving my own decisions where my mind makes a beautiful plan for it, I'm directly sabotaging my mind, give my mind so much to do that it goes into over-refs, and burnout is a perfect word for exactly that, because the mind ran itself down. And it's not that we are burned out, our mind is burned out. Mind, brain, body, of course, they are all connected. So our sanity must come back. Simplifying our lives is one thing, which is highly recommended, but then also bringing us back to an understanding of the importance of integrity with regard to keeping our mind, body, brain entity healthy, so that the workload that you give to the mind is reasonable, that the mind can deal with. And in order for the mind to rejuvenate, you need to have practices and understanding, and you need to do meditation. We have mindfulness. I mean, there's the other side of the spectrum. There are a lot of programs in this awakening happening. So I believe we need to really work on both levels, on the external and the internal. And integrity is one thing, authenticity is another. Authenticity, I come back to that, is to find the courage to live in purity and free from an anxiety, to say what is true for you and to stand by it and to be flexible, because you will get feedback. You need to dance with it in a flexible, wonderful way. It's a lifestyle. We call it conscious living that needs to be learned, discovered, incorporated. And then things are starting to change. You will feel an energy coming back into your system. Your mind finds stillness. You can start becoming an awareness that is greater than the mind. From that perspective, the mind can start to rest. It can go into its own stillness. And when the brain and the mind go in its own stillness, then we are talking about a real regeneration of the system, a rejuvenation of the body. And that is a big, big possibility here.
So it's like, oh, so yeah, so that's one of the major problems is we were talking about earlier, that you're just, society and the way that we live our lives just demands our attention all the time. So we're constantly busy, we're constantly doing things. And in many ways, we become disassociated with what's going on inside, both kind of mentally and physically. So I think it's getting to the stage of burnout because there's so many signals there, but they're just not being heard, because we are so incredibly busy and distracted with everything that's going on around us that we never stop and listen to ourselves. So, and that leads us nicely onto our final question. We talk a lot about changing your inner context. We talked about it in our love and relationships discussions. But with burnout, a lot of, if you read any material around it, a lot of it is kind of blamed on external circumstances. So it's a lack of autonomy at work, a lack of control, too much work, and not enough time, not enough support. So there's a lot of things that are kind of identified as reasons for people burning out. And a lot of them are external. And do you think that we're able to overcome burnout simply by changing our inner state? So rather than changing our external context, we're changing our internal context.
No, I don't think that, because for me, the inner and the outer are always one, always connected. Any change on the outer reflects something in the inner. Any change in the inner will reflect itself in a change on the outside. So the one thing is, we must find out again and discover again what it means to live a human-friendly lifestyle. A human-friendly lifestyle. Number one. Number two, we need to start really getting to know ourselves, all the parts, the mind, the brain, the soul, the spirit, in order to realize who are we, so that we can make the right decisions. See, if you say that in burnout it's too much work, really, that's way too flat answered if somebody says that. It's about, do you love what you do? Are you in the right job? Because if you love what you do, not for the money, not for the fame, if you love the action, not the result, the action. If you love what you do, there is unlimited energy supporting you. Few people are living the life they love to live. They are 70, 80, 90. They never run out of energy. They create, if it's needed, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for a while. There's no burnout. So if it's too much work, too long work hours, it's always because you're not in the right job. It's not authentic what you're doing. You do it for the good reasons, making a living, supporting your family. I understand all that. And still, you have forgotten about, what is this life really about? We get so distracted. so busy with our lives, living our lives, managing the challenges, one reaction after the next reaction, after the next reaction, then 1 year is gone and new things happened and I'm not prepared for that and it comes back to me and whoa. Yeah, and then comes a big stop sign. The mind shuts down and you'll end up being in depression and in bed and can't even get to the toilet anymore. Worst case scenario. But burnout is really not fun. Everybody who has experienced burnout knows that it's a very, very painful, psychologically painful situation. And these are the warning signs. The warning signs, of course, start before the burnout. The signals come up, but we ignore it. We are just too busy living our lives. So we need to listen. We start becoming reasonable human beings, answering those two questions. What is a human-friendly lifestyle? And starting a journey on self-realization that works for you. I think nobody can bypass that anymore. Or sooner or later, we'll just be one number more in the statistics.
Yeah, of course. And I think, again, as with, all of our conversations, I think it takes work. It's not, there's no easy fix. And unfortunately, there's no silver bullet. A lot of work needs to be put into both preventing burnout and also overcome it once you're there. So, yeah.
In conscious living, there is no burnout. If you do conscious living, there is no burnout. Not at all. On the contrary, you will be on fire. Your heart will be fire. It's the opposite of burnout. But for this, one needs to live consciously.
Yeah. Which again, like we say, it takes work, because also I think society and how we live right now it's not set up for us living consciously. Doesn't make it easy for us. I think there's a lot of people out there now that are, people like yourself and the likes of Joe Dispenza, and they are definitely supporting people on their journey to living consciously. And, the rising popularity of these conversations is definitely signaling that we are moving in the right direction. It is still hard, and I think people that are choosing to live like this often come under fire a lot. People are quite skeptical about it, which is a huge shame. But yes, we will not give up, and I think for today we can leave our conversation there, and then the next in our series on stress and burnout, we're going to talk about energy. So thank you very much for your time today, Marc.
Looking forward to that.
Okay, and I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.